Well, I want to welcome you to our program today. We have a very special guest with us. Her name is Kris Nauman. She is the Executive Director of the Clarity Clinic here in Dubuque, Iowa. And so, Kris, thank you so much for being on the program today. You know, I've been hearing more and more about, the good work of the Clarity Clinic, and I think more and more people are getting to know what the Clarity Clinic is all about. But yet, there are probably people who are wondering, the Clarity Clinic, now, what exactly is that? And so, I don't know, why don't you share a little bit about the Clarity Clinic? I mean, how long has the Clarity Clinic been here in Dubuque?
Well, the Clarity Clinic was originally Tri-State Pregnancy Center.
Okay.
And at that time, in 1994, they were established. And it was a pregnancy center that provided pregnancy tests, options counseling, and baby items. But in 2006, through Focus on the Family ultrasound grant program, we went medical because they found that 90% of women that see that beating heart on the ultrasound screen that come to a clinic like ours, abortion-minded, will change their mind.
Isn't that something? So to be able to see that beating heart, and so when you think about the Clarity Clinic, that it certainly has a strong encouragement for a mother then to carry her baby.
That's right. I mean, some of the women that come to our clinic, Pastor, have no idea what they want to do. We've had girls as young as 12 years old. We've had women as old as 40 come to our clinic that are seeking out help. And what Clarity Clinic provides is free medical services, and that includes free pregnancy test, free STD test, and free limited obstetric ultrasounds. And what does that mean? Limited obstetric ultrasounds cost each nurse $5,000 to be trained. So as a nonprofit that receives no government funding, that's 100% donor supported, we have to raise the funds to train those nurses through an ultrasonographer. And that ultrasound basically shows the heartbeat, they measure the cardiac activity, they measure how far along gestationally the baby is, and that the fetus is in the uterus. And why is that? Because if they're coming to us and they're considering having an abortion, what will happen is because of how far along they are, the abortion is a different procedure. And so, so many people are either pro-life or pro-choice. We feel like the most powerful thing we can do is help that young woman make an informed decision. And we do not refer for abortion. We don't perform abortions, but what our goal is to educate them so that they understand what is going on in their body and that there is other options, that there is parenting and adoption. But, people say, oh, but it's a woman's choice. Well, in the end, the woman ultimately will make that choice. But we hope and pray that she chooses a life-affirming decision. And so how far along they are gestationally tells what kind of abortion procedure they would have. So there is a medical abortion, which is called often RU486. We educate them on what those drugs can do to their body, the side effects. We also educate them on, okay, well, if you're 12 weeks gestationally, this is the development on that little fetus. It has hands, it has fingers, it has, all these details already developed. The other thing is a lot of young girls, especially high school girls, they don't tell their parents. They're in this situation, they haven't talked to mom or dad, and someone at school will say, oh, here's how you go take care of your problem. What happens is these girls, some of them have not even had a physical pap smear, they've never been, through that type of gynecological care, and so they don't even understand fully what's going on. They can have ectopic pregnancy. An ectopic pregnancy is a pregnancy outside of the uterus. It could be in a fallopian tube or anywhere outside the uterus. Well, if they go to have a medical abortion or anything else, surgical, it's not going to work. They need to get the support immediately in ER by the care of a physician. if they don't know that and they go to an abortion clinic or something like that, they need to have that understanding of this is what could happen. And I think if parents are out there wondering, you know, gee, what if that was my daughter? At least they know that Clarity Clinic does not refer, and we are educating them about the risks and side effects, not just physically, Pastor, but emotionally. Clarity Clinic also provides post-abortion counseling for girls that have already had abortions, and they need to find that peace. And a lot of them understand that Jesus forgave their sin, but many of them can't forgive themselves. And so there's a 12-step program that we have that takes them through that process, and that they get that support that they need. We talk to them about adoption. We give them lots of resources. We talk about open adoption, closed adoption, semi-open adoption. And, you know, it's very powerful for them to make that plan for that child.
Sounds like there's just you know, a lot of options there for a young mother. And so, because, you know, a lot of times when you hear about something that, you know, we begin to associate things like, well, Clarity Clinic, it means that they are pro-life, and so then that raises up all of these flags for people, or it's almost like, you know, we live in a pluralistic society where there's just so much of a divide now. It's like, well, whose side are you on? You can't be on both. You're on one or the other, and then we have all this political fighting and fighting between neighbors and opinions, and I mean, these are all very personal, hot topics. When you know, just to hear a a word sometimes or a phrase, it can really kind of get emotions going with people.
Sure.
And so as far as the Clarity Clinic goes, it's not like you're just serving one type of a person, like, well, you've passed all the tests according to us, and so now we will serve you.
Right.
It's more you're here to encompass and embrace and love all people, it sounds like, because even people who have had an abortion, mothers who have had abortions, it sounds like you're not just there to judge them and throw them off the cliff, but you're here to minister to them.
In fact, Pastor, when they leave our clinic, we always ask them, you know, how do you feel? Do you know what decision you're going to make at this point after seeing the ultrasound? And if they say, I still don't know, or I'm not sure, or I'm going to go anyway and get rid of it, we always let them know that we won't judge them, that we'll be there for them. If they want post-abortion counseling, we'll be there for them and support them. It's very important to treat them with dignity and respect like we would anyone, no matter what their decision is. And, you know, quite honestly, you know, people say, well, why do you do STD test? Well, you know, here it is again. Are you pro-choice or are you pro-life? Well, we want to also support that woman. I mean, if she has an STD and she has a surgical abortion, she's now at risk for pelvic inflammatory disease, which can cause a whole host of other issues in her health. And so, you know, we feel like that's a powerful thing. And not to just, you know, tell them, oh, you should do this. This is the best choice. They need to come to that place where they know in their heart, I have peace. And I have all the information and all the tools I need to make this decision. And making a plan for an adoption, that is a huge decision. So many of them get educated on what kind of adoption they're facing if they're going to go that route, and they find what might work best for them and for their significant other.
Yeah, so you are really kind of looking for, you know, helping young mothers have informed options as far as, so that they're informed about, you know, these are all the options, so that, you know, they understand each option, and then trying to understand then what's best for them and all people who are involved. Because it's not just the mother, but you mentioned like a significant other, because they have you know, some say in the matter too then.
Right, and you know, so for instance, we, you know, may have a client who's a minor, and she says, I want a parent. I don't want to get rid of it, but my mom and my stepfather are forcing me. They already have an appointment set up for me at an abortion clinic. Do I have to do that? Then we have to tell her what the law says about abortion and for a minor. So they can't be coerced by the significant other or by a parent or anybody. That is their decision. And so that's why we want to educate them so they understand. And so we're there to support her as well, to understand what the law says about that. And that's a very valuable thing because a minor doesn't always know those kinds of things.
Well, no, I wouldn't think so. And not always, in a way.
No. So, and you know, if they're going to parent, you know, many of those girls, like I said, they haven't even been in the care of a gynecologist. So we give them a complete personalized assessment, a roadmap of resources.
Well, let's just start trying to put myself into the, you know, not that I can ever totally relate because I'm a male, but I'm trying to think if I were a young gal.
Yes.
And I guess it doesn't always have to be a young gal, it can just be a gal.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I'm either thinking I could possibly be pregnant or I am pregnant. And so I hear about the Clarity Clinic.
Yep.
And the Clarity Clinic, and somebody told me about it, and that they said it has something to do with helping young mothers who are in this position. So I walk through the door, say, hello, here I am, what happens?
What happens?
Yeah.
Well, they're given information about what they can expect in an appointment. So what you can expect is you will meet one-on-one with a personalized, trained advocate that will help you work through your options. Then they will meet with a registered nurse who's been trained in limited obstetric ultrasound, and she will meet with you and provide for you a pregnancy test. If you'd like an STD test, we do the urine, chlamydia, and gonorrhea testing at our clinic. And an ultrasound. If it's the nurse determines that they're gestationally where we need to scan, we'll go ahead and do that. But I would like to say that I think the most important thing about this is if they come to our clinic, they're going to get that one-on-one support. We're not in a hurry. If they want to talk for 45 minutes about how or why they're so scared, or, you know, gee, this is why I can't do this, or it's not like a regular doctor appointment where you're getting rushed through.
There's a warmth of people who recognize that this is more than just inanimate objects that are passing through, but these are people who are dealing with some major life crisis right now, and they need, you know, not just to be informed, you know, getting all the head knowledge, but people who actually love and care for them is kind of what you're saying.
That is totally right.
And here again, I want to just clarify to make sure that everybody knows that the Clarity Clinic has got certified medical personnel who are working.
That's right.
Yes.
Actually, we have a team of 4 physicians that volunteer at our clinic. They review all the ultrasound scans. They review all of the charts. All of our nurses are registered nurses. In fact, we have a parent program in the lower level. We used to be located in the Pines Professional Park here in Dubuque. And just this year in May, we purchased a former Planned Parenthood building. And by doing so, they left town. So they're no longer offering services in Dubuque. And we are proud to say that we took them out of town by purchasing that building. And by doing so, the location is now bringing life where there once were deaths. And so we bring life-affirming decisions and outcomes as much as possible to those that come through our door. So the lower level of the building, you might say, well, why do you want this building? Well, number one, we were happy to see them go. And number 2, we doubled in size. So we have twice the square footage of where we were currently leasing. And so the lower level of this building now has parent programs called First Steps. And so we cover everything from birthing and delivery to breastfeeding to parenting, all the way up to toddler age. In fact, we now have a volunteer pediatrician that comes once a month, and she will do a program for a whole classroom on well child visits and what they can expect. And so we're excited about all the things that have happened since we've been there, and all the items that they receive when they're in that class, they earn while they learn. So baby items, baby beds, baby cribs, swings, you name it, we have it, and it's all been donated by people that care about the ministry. And so a woman can come to a class, half-hour class, do the homework with one-on-one with a trained advocate, and she will have 13 to 15 points, or we call them baby bucks, and she can go shopping. $1 will buy her 12 dozen, or 1 dozen diapers, you know. Maybe a couple bucks will buy her a canister of Infamil, you know, whatever she needs.
Yeah.
So it's a way for us to give back to the community and help. But we also have an education department in the lower level as well, which we didn't have at our old building.
So it just sounds like this has really been a step in a good direction then. It's really been, it has helped the whole Clarity Clinic just to develop just because you got more space to be able to do that. Yeah, so so you provide some of the very needed, well, there's evaluation, like you say, you have trained personnel, nurses and so forth, that will sit down with the young mother, and then they will just kind of have like is there like a pregnancy test or ultrasound?
Yeah, we do pregnancy test and STD testing and ultrasounds.
Depending upon where they're at with things. So if they are just wondering, well, I think I'm pregnant, then they can do a pregnancy test.
And sometimes they've done 2 or 3 home tests, and they just really want to know from a clinical standpoint that, gee, I need to really know. You know, I might have bought these for $1 or $2 at the dollar store, but now I need to know. I want to talk to someone I can count on. And they'll come in, and, you know, Clarity Clinic is also part of an affiliate called CareNet. CareNet is an organization that provides support to pregnancy centers like ours across the nation. There's about 1,200 of us that do this all over the United States. There's also an organization called Heartbeat International, and they're an international pregnancy support affiliate. And so we work closely, especially with CareNet, and they provide legal, medical support, just all kinds of trainings and things like that, and so they specialize in that. And so that helps us to take a linear approach. So every single client, even though their individual crisis is different, we get each client can receive the same exact care that they need, same exact just like you would in a hospital. You know, you're going to meet and be evaluated and then go through. And they even give an exit interview about how was how did they feel like their appointment went, and did they get all the care that they needed? And
yeah, so now let's say that it's confirmed that a mother is pregnant, and so that's where you will provide the services to know, like you say, that every pregnancy, I'm sure the situation is different for each mother. So I suppose there's a lot of evaluation to see, you know, what's the age of this person, what are their needs. You know, it's like taking the person where they're at and then leading them step by step, day by day through this whole pregnancy, providing the emotional support, the physical support, the medical support. I mean, is that all of what you provide then, or is it like, well, you know, while you're pregnant and come back in 3 months and we'll talk to you again?
No.
I mean, how does it work?
There is a lot to it. I mean, we follow up, like I said, we do the educational classes. If we have a client that has had a background of sexual abuse, and maybe it's been turned in, that we are mandatory reporters, and so we tell them right off the get-go. But if they've had a past of abuse and things like that, we have a program called Boundaries and Beyond Boundaries, and we have a trained advocate that will sit down one-on-one with them and go through that Boundaries book to help them understand what a healthy relationship looks like, and specifically give them resources from that program that can get them into the professional support for counseling specific to their needs. Because a lot of times those clients, you know, go into a doctor's office and they don't have that time with them, so they're not always telling them, gee, you know, I was raped twice, or I've had this happen to me. And, you know, when we're educating them in the parent program, sometimes that'll come out and say, you know, well, when I was 13, this happened to me. Well, then our advocate in that program will also put, say, we have this program. Would you like to have some support in that area? So after the baby's born, then we will put them into that program. They still earn while they learn. So, but we take that a step further, Pastor. We know, so many people will say, well, gee, why don't you get these girls, educated before they come to your door? And so we do. We go into 5th grade and we talk about the development and changes.
Yeah, wow.
We go into the middle schools. We talk about abstinence education and talk about cyberbullying, and we go into the high schools, talk again about relationships and abstinence, but we also talk about date, rape, drugs. We talk about like Snapchat, social media, and really talk to them about how is social media influencing you? We talk about peer pressure and STDs, So it's not just about getting pregnant, but it's also about getting STDs too. Have you thought about that? So we educate them on all those things. And now we just launched a new parent program because, the way the world's going, everything's technology.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's growing at such a pace that parents don't really know, gee, I thought I put a password on Susie's, iPhone, but they know how to change it. And so, just tips and things like that for parents, apps and websites and things that are harmful, educating the parents on, even if they have a son or daughter that became pregnant as a teenager, what does that support system need to look like? Because the parents are under a lot of pressure too.
Yeah, so this is Kris Nauman. She's the Executive Director of Clarity Clinic in Dubuque. And this is a clinic that provides so much good care, so much education. Education as far as teaching young people about how to have healthy relationships and establishing very good boundaries, so that as they are maturing and growing, that they have an understanding of what a good, healthy relationship is. And so hopefully, to prevent some unwanted pregnancies, but in the event that a young girl does get pregnant, that they've got so many resources, showing the different options that are available for these young mothers, and trying to encourage them, though, to carry the baby to full term and to know that there are good options in doing that. And if they keep the baby, that the Clarity Clinic continues to walk with this mother and the child and the significant other as well, to make sure that that everything is going along well. I just think what a wonderful resource this is, and they've got a new location. What's the address of the Clarity Clinic in Dubuque?
We're now located at 3365 Hillcrest Road in Dubuque.
Okay, right here in Dubuque on Hillcrest Road. And so it just sounds like a wonderful facility that has allowed them to have space for classes, but then also to do the medical procedures that they need to do, such as having ultrasounds. They've got certified medical personnel and counselors who, certainly can, help young mothers and young babies, as they grow. And so the question that I would have to ask too is that you're probably thinking, well, boy, how much money does it cost for a young mother to go in there? And is this going to, how much does it cost?
It doesn't.
It doesn't cost anything?
It's
Wow.
free.
Having all these good services for free?
Everything's
Well, then
free.
how are you funded?
100% donor funded. So we have to do a lot of fundraising to keep our doors open. You can imagine last year over 700 client appointments. In the Dubuque location alone, we had 484 client appointments. Out of those that came to us abortion-minded, 278 babies were saved. So, we do auctions, we do baby bottle fundraisers in churches. So we serve an hour radius of Dubuque. And 2 years ago, we launched a clinic in Platteville. That's now called Clarity Clinic of Southwest Wisconsin. They serve an hour radius of Dubuque. They are a separate entity now as of December 31st, 2015. But this year, with the purchase of the building, we have run a capital campaign fund to help pay for this building. We started at $625,000. We're now at $416,000. We have a $3,122 monthly note that we pay to make that bill. So that is a lot of money. Then on top of it, since we've moved, we doubled our number of clients that we're serving. So it has just been increase, increase, increase. And our #1 fundraiser every year is our fall banquet. And that is going to be this October 20th at the Grand River Center. And we have an amazing speaker. His name is Mike Dennehy. And Mike Dennehy adopted 13 children, all from different countries all over the world. Every one of the children have a disability, life-threatening. In fact, we met him through his son George, who was born without arms. And George plays all kinds of instruments. He plays with his toes, the piano, he plays a guitar, and he will be coming with his dad. And so on October 20th, he will be our speaker, and he's going to share no matter what a life looks like, even if it's the most hopeless life, it's valuable. And so for more information about that, they can go to partnersofclarityclinic.com. And at that website, partnersofclarityclinic.com, they can go to the event page and see how they can move forward with getting an opportunity to come to our banquet or support us.
Yeah, it sounds like a wonderful opportunity on October 20th at the River Center, Grand River Center in Dubuque. Yeah, and so that's a good way that you can support the Clarity Clinic. And if you can't make it to this fundraiser, I'm sure that you can always contact them and to be able to support what is a very important work and ministry in the community here and for the surrounding area. To be able to help young mothers, but to help these little ones as they need a voice, the unborn, but then also the voice, those who are willing to walk with them and help them to grow and to mature, to be the special people that God wants them to be. And so here again, this is Kris Nauman. She's the Executive Director of the Clarity Clinic in Dubuque, Iowa. Once again, Kris, thank you so much for being on the program today. You are a blessing to so many people, and so keep up the good work.
Thank you, Pastor.
Yeah, and thank you for joining us this day as well.